Next, so now here, what will happen? So we have seen here that the function of OpenGL basic libraries. So this particular OpenGL basic libraries which are going to have, so it is going to be, so normally it is going to be used now. So I have seen that GL symbolic constants that are used to certain functions. So we have already known what do you mean by symbolic constants. Can you anyone tell that what do you mean by symbolic constants? Anyone tell what do you mean by symbolic constants? If you know it. So like if you're going to have the symbolic constant is nothing but what hash defined some printf. Okay, so symbolic constants you're going to have. So like hash defined some constants you're going to tell. So if I'm going to have hash defined pi, so pi, what is the value for that particular pi of 2.141519. So like this, define some constant. So symbolic constants you are going to define it. So that particular symbolic constants is predefined. Some of the symbolic constants are predefined. So those predefined functionalities that are there, so that is used with certain functions. That is used with certain functions as this as a parameter, as a parameter, and all in capital letters preceded by GL. So always that symbolic constants which are going to have that will be preceded by GL. So here we are defining it, right? So similar to that one. So it is going to define it here what? So in your C++ as macro we are going to have. So GL underscore 2D. So that is already predefined. For this particular, if I am using this particular symbolic constant means what some value is there assigned to that particular thing. So that will be there in the library or header file which has been given. So that is what you are going to have it. So when you are going to have this particular type of functionalities, so it is going to be defined by capital GL for its symbolic constant. For normal functionality, it is small GL. For symbolic constant, it will be capital letter GL. So next, we are going to have GL underscore RGB. So what is RGB stands for? So it is RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So that in this particular symbolic constant is going to pass the value of RGB. Okay. So then, if you are passing this particular constant as RGB, so it is going to be making use of these colors, and it is going to uh, print display that particular color. So similar to that one, GL underscore CCW is there. So and the polygon, to draw the polygon, you are going to have some certain already symbolic concept is there, like GL ambient and diffuse is there. So in the future, we are going to discuss all these things. Okay. So the next is if you take the OpenGL, so similar to the other programming languages. Okay, this particular OpenGL is also one of the programming languages, and it also expects some data types. So it also expects some data types. So similar to your C or C++, if you take basic so data types which these programming languages is going to support is what like integer, character, number, float, etc. Okay. Similar to that one, so a OpenGL function parameter might expect a value that is specified as a 32-bit integer. So here it is going to make use of the 32-bit integer. So, but the size of the integer specification for the different on different machines. So already you know that. So if you take the size of the integer, the size of the integer is different for different machine. So if you take the 16-bit machine, so if we take 16-bit machine, so the size of the integer for the 16-bit machine is 2 bytes. Okay. So similarly, if it is a 32-bit machine which you are going to have, so the size of the integer will be 4 bytes. So this is how it is going to be differentiated. So it depends upon the machine. So what type of data type? In data type. The only data type is independent of the size of the data type, which is independent of the any machine is character. So if you start discussing about the size of the character in any of the system of any of the programming languages, the size of the character will be 1 byte only. So, but only with respect to the integer, it will be varying with respect to the machines. Okay. So, if we take this specific data type, we are going to have here. Okay. So now, if we to indicate the specific data type, so if we open GL, use a special built-in data type such as what GL byte. So it is going to have GL byte is nothing but what it's going to have one bit, one byte, GL byte, one byte. So short is there, GL short, GL int is there, GL float is there, GL double is there, and GL boolean is there. So if we take the boolean, it's going to have only two things. One is either true or false. Okay, so like that it will be there. So if we are going to have true, it is going to represent it with 0, 1. So if it is going to have false, it is going to represent it with 0. So similar to that one, so you are going to have GL byte, GL short, GL. So these size of these particular special built-in data types which are there, right? So these are specific. Yeah, this will vary depending. The integer type will vary depending upon the different machines which are going to use. Okay. So now, whenever you are going to make use of the different libraries in your openGL, so in addition to openGL basic library, which is prefixed with GL, so we already we seen that. So GL begin is going to have GL is there. So where the capital letter will be there to begin with the particular option functionality. Okay. So in addition to this OpenGL basic library, which is prefixed with GL, there are a number of there are so many number of associated libraries are there for handling special type of operations. Okay. So if you take a special type of operation like so special type of operations, it is nothing but what OpenGL utility. So if we are going to make use of this particular library for utility, OpenGL utility, so that particular utility is going to be prefixed with glue. So this is one library which you are going to have. So that will be prefixed with glue. So library is nothing but what? So you're going to have some predefined functions, okay, which will doing some specific task. Okay. So when you are going to do that particular specific task, it should be recognized what type of library it is using, whether it is using OpenGL utility it is going to be used. So if it is a utility, you are going to make use of GLU. So GLU stands for what? GL is OpenGL, that is graphic library. So U stands for utility. So GLU stands for graphic library utility. Okay, so whatever the utility you are going to use, that is under the form of OpenGL. That's why it is called as OpenGL utility. So and always, whenever you are going to have this particular library, so this library is going to start with GLU. So it is going to be prefixed with GLU. So similarly, if you go with the GL, so it is only GL begin. So if you are using this particular library in OpenGL, so OpenGL utility, so it's going to make use of what? GLU. So GLU begin is going to be used. So it provides routines for setting up viewing and projection matrices. So it is going to set up functions for setting up and viewing the projection matrix, and it is going to describe the complex objects with line and polygon approximations. Okay. So I describe to display the quadrics and B splines with used linear approximations. Okay. So as we already know that linear approximations it is nothing but straight line. So it is going to make use of some formulas, mathematical terms which are there will be predefined inside that particular library, and processing the surface rendering operations it is going to perform, and other complex tasks it is going to perform in this particular graphics library utility. So now when you are going to have every OpenGL, so every OpenGL implementation it uses the blue library. Okay, so whenever you are writing your code for OpenGL, so you can make use of the OpenGL library utility also. So apart from that one, you are going to have OpenGLU. Okay, this is one queue. So one is GL, other is GLU. So both the utility is there. So but by default, whatever the OpenGL implementation you are going to take, so that particular implementation is going to make use of the GLU library. So other type of utility we are going to have is the core of library is called open inventor. So it is open inventor is also the type of libraries which you are going to have. So this particular library, what it is going to perform is it's going to provide routines and predefined objects. Okay, so it's going to provide routines and predefined object shapes for interactive three-dimensional applications. So normally, as I told you already, that this particular application is written in C++. Okay, this particular application is written in C++. So you can see that three-dimensional applications which are written in C++. Okay. So now, whenever you are going to provide this particular routines and there are these particular routines which are predefined object shapes are there. Like what are the predefined object shapes which are there, which is already written in three-dimensionally. So it may be a triangle, or it may be a rectangle, or it may be a cuboid. Okay, so it may be a cuboid, or it may be a um, cylinder. So these already three-dimensional applications will be there, which is C++ already. Okay, it will be written in C++. So this open inventory is going to make use of those routines which are having the predefined objects, okay, or shapes, which can be viewed in three-dimensional applications. And these applications or these libraries are normally written in C++. Okay, so this is our what that one. So apart from this, we are going to have some Windows system libraries also. So what is meant by Windows system libraries? So if you go with the library, so library is the remote mode, so it contains a set of functions. Okay, library is the remote set of functions. So if you take the C programming, what is the library? Library is nothing but your header file. It is CDI auto-change. Inside this particular header file, what are the different functions which are there? So we already know that inside your say CDI auto-change, you're going to have printf, you are going to have scanf. So if you take the match.h, you are going to have the square root functionality. So if you take the Korean.h, you are going to have the clear screen facilities there. Now here, whatever the Windows Systems library has there, so this particular Windows System library, so it is mainly used to create graphics. So whenever you are going to create the graphics, what you require, first you require the window. So to create the graphic, we require window. So create graphics requires what? Requires one window. Okay. So we cannot create the display window directly with the basic openGL functions. So whatever the basic openGL functions are there, using the openGL functions, we cannot directly create the window. So to create the particular windows first, we require what libraries? We require the Windows system. Okay, so we cannot create the display window directly with basic openGL function. So because why it is going to happen like this? So what are the openGL functions it is going to have? It is only device independent graphics option. So it is not device independent. So it is contains only device independent graphic option. But whatever the window you have to create, so that particular window depends upon the window that depends upon the device by dependent. So because when you are running your program, so that particular graphics can be used in different devices. It may be used in mobile, it may be used in laptop, or it may be used in desktop, or it may be used in tablet. So different environment systems are going to have, and their particular system it is going to be used. So basically, what it supports is it is going to support OpenGL functions for variety of machines here. So, however, there are several window libraries are there that supports OpenGL functions for the variety of machines. Example is what? So you can see it here. So that the OpenGL which are used in Apple window, so it is called as Apple GL. Okay. So if you are using the Windows to OpenGL, so that is referred by WGL. So if we take the presentation manager to OpenGL, that is called as PGL. So that is presentation to OpenGL. So PGL stands for presentation to OpenGL. Windows to GL, Windows to OpenGL is WGL. So if you take Apple GL, it is Apple GL. Okay, so these are the things which will be there. So this will be making use of different Windows system library to create the window. Okay, maybe your quiz is scheduled now. So take up the quiz. So it's 2 minutes quiz of one question. So I just make that whether you people are there in the teams or not or left. So just attend that particular quiz for 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes. Sure, this will be activated now. So just attend that particular quiz. That's it. So now we'll continue now. So apart from that, whatever the system library you're going to have, which is created graphics we need display window. Okay. So here we cannot create the display window as I told you already. So the next it is device independent graphics option. Next, apart from this, so you're going to have openGL utility tool. So if you're going to have openGL utility toolkit, so which is mentioned here. So what is going to basically provide is it is first going to provide a basically a library of functions which acts as interacting with any device specific screening windows. Okay, so it's going to be interacting with any device specific screening window system, thus making our program device independent. Okay, so it's going to make use of the device independent. Okay, so the GLUT driver function, always the GLUT driver functions which are there, as I told you previously, it is going to be prefixed with GLUT. So we already know that the library functions which are going to use this GL is for openGL is for this one. So we are going to have library functions which is going to have predefined shapes is going to be used by group, and we are going to have some set of library functions which are used for interfacing for interacting with any device specific screen window system. So you are going to make use of GLUT. So these are the three different libraries which are going to have. Under these different libraries, you are going to have some set of built-in functions which they are going to use, and whatever the functions you are going to use, it will be program device independent. That means what? So whatever different device will be having the different functionalities. So we're using the different functions, different functionality which you are going to use. By having those things, so we are going to make use of those set of libraries. Okay, so these are some of the header files we are going to have. So in all graphic process, we need to include the header file for openGL core library. Okay, so whatever the library you're going to have, sometimes all the libraries which are going to have that will be stored under the header file. So openGL core libraries which are going to call it by. So in inverse, I will include openGL core libraries, and you can use the following header files. Okay, so it include those libraries. So libraries are always it will be including the header file. Okay, so it is including header file here. Okay, so these header files function built-in functionality which you are going to have. So to include openGL core libraries, so first we should have some set of header files. Okay, so actually include Windows graphics is one thing. So it is other header files for including Microsoft Windows version of openGL libraries, because different Windows versions is having different libraries. So depending upon the version change of the user of your OpenGL, so the libraries will also get changed because it has to be updated accordingly. So if you are using the Windows 7, the library which you are going to use will be different. So if you are using the Windows 11, so the libraries which you are going to use, it is totally a different one. So basically, it is going to be will be used for different versions of OpenGL libraries. So you can use this particular line. So if you are going to have GL, so as I told you already, it includes the letter file gl.h. So and then this gl glue.h. So this is open utility library. So open utility library which you are going to have this one. This particular library includes what? This library includes so the includes the predefined shapes. It includes predefined shapes here. So the lines can be replaced with using root header file, which ensures gl.h and gl are included correctly. So other window is gl/glut.h. So that is gl in Windows. We are using the gl in Windows, so we are going to make use of the header file glut.h. So if we are similarly, if you are going to use in Apple OS 6, the header file inclusion statement will be actually include glut.h, because the header file for the different systems will be different. So it is for .NET is for what system? It is for Apple system. So this particular library you are going to use when you are working OpenGL under Apple operating system, Apple OS system. Okay. So Apple Open operating system you are going to use. So in that particular, so this particular file you are supposed to make use of that. So if you are not using that particular file, so then you cannot compile and run that particular program which have been used under Apple OS system. Okay, so that's what it is going to do. So if you take some examples, some predefined already, we know that one. So just for how we can use that one using your. So you can see it here. So just as the example what I'm giving here. So if we take next example, so you can see it here. Just as since for your understanding purpose, I'm doing it. So this is simple program which are going to make use of libraries here. Okay, so if you take this particular program, it's a simple C program which you're going to have. So simple pre-program which is written here, which is not going to support you, is going to draw the rectangle. Okay, so if you run this particular program, you can see it here because all the languages is going to support the programming languages. This one simple example is going to have. So you can see it in this particular figure. You can see it here. So it is going to get defined. So get max is equal to 639. So there is nothing but what along the x direction, what is the maximum number of pixels which are there here for this particular screen. So but that particular get max is going to be different for different system. Separate the get max 5. So the get max 5 is y direction. So the y direction may be different for different display devices. Because the display devices, what I'm using is small, so it is going to get the less amount of get maximum x pixels, and it is going to get the get max y of that particular vertical direction of that particular pixels. Apart from that one, you have to refer the coordinate. So at which point that left it has to start. So the left has to start from, so from the top, from the left it is going to be 269. It is going to, so from the left, how much it should be there? It should be 269. From top, it should be 189. Okay, so from left, how much it should be? From left, it should be 269 again. From bottom, it should be 289. So now, once you have given this particular points on which the rectangle has to be drawn, so during that particular point, the rectangle will be drawn. So this is a simple program which is going to be written in C. Okay, so this you can use it in your home only. So adding that one. So your C program is a C++ program which are going to have the normal C program which was there in the earlier period, where most of the programs were written in C program itself at that time. So both your C as well as C++ supports the graphics. So just for your understanding purpose and to know the knowledge on graphics, we are spelling. So you're going to have the header file called as graphics.h here. So if you want to have more research on that one, so you can click on the right click. So you can use this one. These are the different functionalities which will be available there in your C program. Okay, so these are some of the some of the built-in functions which are available to draw to do the graphics, because using these functions, these built-in functions only, earlier the programs and the games graphics were being used using C and C++. So you can see it here, functions are there, like arc is there if you want to generate the arc. So if you take, for example, if you take the circle, how to draw a